is Miss Eglin for middle school language arts, and this is the video for Engage New York Language Arts Grade 7, Module 1, Unit 1, Lesson 3. And the book we are studying is A Long Walk to Water by Linda Sue Park. Okay, and again, the long-term targets addressed are I can determine the central ideas of a literary text. And again, think of central idea like theme. Okay, and a literary text can be anything, but in this case, it would be a novel. This is a new one. I can analyze how an author develops and contrasts the points of view of characters in a literary text. Okay, point of view in literature is very important. I can effectively engage in discussions with diverse partners about 7th grade topics, texts, and issues. So we have had this one before, and this one before, and this one's new. Okay, lesson vocabulary again: analyze, develop, contrast, point of view, characters, determine, central ideas, text features, and these are from the book: wander, littered, rebels, hesitate, scurry, protested, objected. Okay, and these are the page numbers that you can find them on. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. Okay, introducing the the learning targets. We just talked about this, but let's talk about the new one. I can analyze how the author, in this case Linda Sue Park, develops and contrasts the point of view of Naya and Salva in A Long Walk to Water. So think about point of view as the character's perspective, position, or experience. In this book, there are two main characters who are both from southern Sudan, but they each have their own experiences. Okay, and the learning target is a central, this learning target is a central focus of the novel. Okay, as all novels, we usually ask, what do we think the theme is? Okay, and this learning target again will be assessed by the reader's notes, that handout that we're continuing to work on. And when we are talking with our partners, we want to make sure we're using the text to guide our decisions. So we want to keep going back to the actual text to check what we're saying. Okay, and work time. Engaging the reader, sharing gist from chapter 2 reader's notes. And this should take us about 15 minutes. So it says in last night's homework, you were supposed to chapter 2. You were able to think about the gist of chapter 2. Think about the text features from lesson 1. What is the date of each section of the chapter? Okay, and we already said in the previous lesson, both sections started in South Sudan, but we had, one section had the date 2008 and one section had the date 1985, which is pretty interesting. Okay, so you should have filled in columns 2 and 4, and I'm going to make this bigger so you can see. Okay, so the Naya story, what were your first ideas, and then Salva's story, what were your first ideas? Okay, so in class we would have shared that. And again, reminding you, make sure you put the page numbers and the sentences in the text as a reference. They don't give you a whole lot of room, so if you need more room, go ahead and take it. You can always write on the back or get another handout. Okay, so we would fill this in class. Okay, have our page numbers here. This part's always filled in. Okay, and then let's go back to our things close readers do to anchor text. What was the gist of chapter 2? Use the text to answer questions. Was that text emotionally difficult? This is what you should have had from lesson 2, and you could add more to it. Okay? And then this is an activity that we would have done in class, back-to-back and face-to-face prompts for display. where this would just be to help you out. But the actual protocol for back to back and face to face, I'm going to read some of it so you would know what to do the next time. But the purpose, it's a way for students to share information and then gain multiple perspectives on a topic. So, what do other people think? Okay, and you would find a partner, stand back to back with him or her, and don't ram into them. You don't have to touch them. Be respectful of their space. Wait for the question or opinion that you're going to be asked to share with your partner. Okay, and these would be the questions. Think about what you want to share, how you might best express yourself. When the facilitator says face to face, then you turn around, face your partner, and decide who will share first. If it's not said, who would share first? And then listen carefully to what your partner says to you. You're looking them in the eye like people should do when they talk. And then a signal is going to be given. And then you're going to do this with a different partner. Okay. And you'll stand back to back, wait for the question or opinion, etc. And then flip around when the signal is given. Okay. So these would be the questions right here. And let's see here. It says in chapter 1, it says that Salva was letting his mind wander, vocabulary words, see that's italicized, down the road ahead of his body. He begins to daydream when he and his friends made cows out of clay. What does this daydream tell you about the importance of cattle in Salva's life? Okay? So this would be the question that students would have thought about and talked about. Okay, so here's a sample response. Cattle are very important in Salva's life and seem to be related to wealth or money. The book said that his father had a lot of cattle and his father was an important man. I bet cattle are important because they can provide milk and food. Okay, so that would be just the first question. Okay, so this would be, I think this was 1. Okay, here's the second one about chapter 2. In chapter 2, we learn that thorns littered the ground where Naya is. Okay, so remember, Naya is the girl from this section 1. It says that Naya, and I'm going to put this here just to kind of clarify. Okay, this is the boy. This is the girl. Okay, and she is in 2008. And he is in what, 1985? Okay, so they're in 2 different times there. It says Naya looked at the bottom of her foot. There was a big thorn that had broken off right in the middle of her heel. What does the thorn in her heel tell you about Naya? Explain why the thorn tells you this about Naya. Okay, so think into it. Why doesn't she have shoes on? Why are there thorns everywhere? What kind of landscape? What is the setting like? Okay, here's another one. And I'll make that a different color, about turquoise. Okay, where do you think Naya was going? Okay, what part of the reading makes you think this? Why? What does this tell you about Naya's character? Okay, here's another one. So I don't know if we would get to all of these in class. When the rebel soldiers arrive, Salva hesitates for a minute, like pauses, but then steps forward to join the group of men. But the soldier says, over there, and points Salva to go join the group of women and children. Salva then scurries over to the women's side. Okay, what does Salva's choice to step forward tell you about Salva's character? Okay, what kind of person is he? And then the last one on here, in chapter 2, Salva asks the same question many times. Where are we going? Where is my family? When will I see them again? What does this tell you about how Salva is feeling? Okay? So these are the questions that would have been discussed. And again, think about your possible answers. Okay? And the closing and assessment, can you determine the central idea for chapter 2? Can you analyze how the author develops and contrasts the points of view of Naya and Salva in A Long Walk to Water? How are they different? That's what contrast means, different. I can effectively engage in discussion with my classmates about our reading of A Long Walk to Water. So, think about, how did you get along with your partner? Were you able to communicate effectively, or were you arguing? Were you, oh no, off task? Okay. So, how did this go? Because these are important. That's why we see them every day. And we will do the fist of five to check and see. Okay. And again, this is new, so it might take us a while to get all those. And then this is the exit slip that you need to complete before you can exit. Okay. Describe one way that Linda Sue Park, the author, has created different points of view for Naya and Salva. How are the characters different? Okay, so you might start out, the two main characters are different because, you know, you don't have to put that, but what do you think? And this is an exit slip. You could do bulleted points if you wanted to. Okay, this isn't formal writing, just really jot down, what you think here, and then we'll see how everybody does. Okay, on that for the next day. Let's check and see. Oh no, homework. Okay, reread chapter 2 and then add to columns 3 and 5 of your reading notes. And then also, you can add any new thinking you have after the back to back and face to face discussions. Okay, so let's go back to this. Oh, here we go. This reader's notes. Okay, so now you're filling in this column and this column. Okay, because you did this already, and then do not forget to fill in this for all of them so we know what you're talking about. Okay? Thank you, and thanks for watching.